right, Nick, we got 2020 is here now. January's done. The Oscars are done. And now it's kind of like focusing in on almost like blockbuster season. So I think, where better way to start that February than, talking some Birds of Prey, talking some Harley Quinn.
One of us is going to like this.
Him? Him? Find out next. All right, thanks for joining us again for Kyle and Nick on Film. I'm one of your hosts, Kyle Goethe from GoetheFilmReviews.com.
And I'm Nick from the St. Paul Filmcast. Birds of Prey is part of the DC Extended Universe. It's a sequel kind of Suicide Squad, even though it's not a direct sequel to it. Features, once again, Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn, and introduces a bunch of other characters that are part of the DC Universe, in fact, part of the Batman home universe. Kyle and I both got to sit down and watch it, not together. And Kyle, first reactions to the movie.
So, I didn't like a lot of the trailers, a lot of the posters for the film. I wasn't all that terribly excited until I started to hear some word and buzz coming out about the film.
Yeah.
So I kind of went into it with kind of tempered, kind of uncertain kind of vibes, and I really found myself enjoying bits and pieces of the film. Altogether, I found it to be very messy. But there are elements of it that I really like, that I really want to see more of down the road, and things that I think need to definitely be improved. Still an improvement over Suicide Squad, as a narrative film goes. But
that's one thing we can agree on. It's definitely a step up from Suicide Squad. But I don't know necessarily when you watch this movie that it is supposed to be convoluted, discombobulated, and it might be intentional to give a point of view of Harley Quinn and her viewpoints. It's heavily narrated.
Yeah. It feels kind of like Deadpoolian, where she's trying to be a DC version of Deadpool. It's the hard R rating, it's the violence, it's the swearing, it's the inappropriate conduct,
right?
Done in a sense that kind of a broken narrative a bit, and that's kind of how Deadpool was as well. This one for me, there are moments in the kind of fractured narrative where it feels almost like it's trying to be the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse vibe of like keep bringing up the let's start this over again. I'm Peter Parker, I'm Spider-Man. That portion where they keep kind of running back to that narrative gag. But some of them work, some of them don't.
Yes, and I think it actually doesn't really carry the story very well, because a lot of times it's like, oh, for me to care about this, you need to know something about this. And it goes back for another extended period of time, a long time, to the point where, like, why don't we just do it from the beginning? There's definitely points of the writing that I get a bit of a hiccup with it, because a lot of the characters don't get fully developed. There's some really good characters that they took. I love Huntress, but I don't think
Huntress is the weakest character in the film.
The weakest character, and it doesn't get fully developed. Where in the comic book, she is a very powerful, strong person that you were like, yes, she's in this story, and I love it. Where here, it just doesn't get overshown.
Yeah, and I really like Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I think she is a good pick for Huntress. Not just looking the part, but I think she can play the part.
Yeah,
and
but she didn't really have a lot to work with.
She's very much an afterthought character placed in the film.
That's too bad.
Where I hope we get to see more down the road for her, but I can't really judge much of the character because she's not given any, real meat to chew on. Yeah. The big thing for me with the broken narrative too is that it's particularly problematic in the sequence in the police station. There's an extended sequence where Harley goes into the police station
almost like a Terminator.
Yeah, it very much had those Terminator vibes. But most of the action gets broken up by jumping around in time, and we don't get back to the police station for a good chunk of the movie to finish that sequence. And it's, I think, it could have been one of the best action sequences in the film, but it gets broken up a lot. The film is at its best when it's driving things forward. I think particularly this internal conflict between Harley and everyone else in Gotham. Yeah. I like the idea that she's a wanted person from everybody, the good people, the bad people. She doesn't have Mr. J anymore to protect her. I think that's really where the film is at its strongest, is Harley is the most hated person in, the city.
And that's one of the things I question about the writing, because they have a good idea. Here's a character that is a codependent. That's what she's trained for, being codependent, and now she's trying to do things on her own, and she's going to fumble a lot. But in a sense, for me, it sounds like she's just having a temper tantrum the whole time, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point of her character is not really to be mature. Mm-hmm. We understand that she's going to be juvenile in a lot of aspects. This is a funny thing. Oh, it's going to be like a sleepover. Yeah. Which is fun. That's what she's supposed to be doing. But when you are just going to sabotage things and then you get lucky, then it takes me away from what you're trying to establish as somebody that's going to do immature things, and understandably, but not really got the divorce from what she wanted to do.
Yeah, and I give credit where credit's due in terms of the narrative, because they make a smart call in not making everything in their universe so large scale. This is the smallest film really in this 8-film franchise.
That's another good. I would say that's a good.
And I think it's really good. Like one of the things about the sequel to The Crow City of Angels, not a great film, but they make a good call in making this film story. Not every sequel or continuation has to be larger than life. And coming off things like the Justice League, coming off Aquaman, and even to a certain extent Shazam, it makes a smart call by making it a small story. These are smaller characters in a small story doing something that's very simple. One character has a diamond. Everybody wants the diamond. It's so simplistic in its way, and then you can play with the narrative to great results, to less than great results. Yeah. Christina Hodgson, who grew to a lot of fame with her writing for Bumblebee, wrote the screenplay here. I think Bumblebee is a smarter, stronger narrative than this one is. But at the same time, I don't know if I can fault her, because I feel like there's some issues with editing. That's where the pacing of the film kind of fluctuates a little bit.
And there's a certain, everybody's motivation doesn't really understand. Obviously, they want to get the diamond. They know where the diamond is, but they recruit her. But why would you recruit her when everybody saw where it goes? And there's a lot of logistics that don't mesh up very well.
Yeah, if I wanted to hire someone to hunt down a person with the diamond, Harley Quinn is the last person I would go to. There's no reason to do that. And she kind of plays up her role as like, I know where to get it, I know how to find it, I'm capable of it, but she's just not a trustworthy character. And if you're a person like our main baddie, Roman Sionis, played by Ewan McGregor, he has everybody at his disposal. As we can see, as the film goes on, he has unlimited number of hitmen. And he doesn't trust Harley Quinn, and that's why he sends other people after it. But why even bother with it?
If you have unlimited resources, and especially have a club where everybody's afraid of you.
Yeah, there's a moment where his character is written as almost being the person. They joke about this when you capture the good guy and you explain your reasoning behind capture and your big master plan, and then they fall into that narrative.
Yeah. There's a lot of you're written yourself in a lot of corners. Yeah. And like I said, best thing about it is the cast's right. Mm-hmm. Best thing about this is I like the sets, but they're great. There's a lot of wide shot for action, which the action is really good. There's a car chase.
Yeah, but I think the ending is really a fun action set piece, again, that doesn't overdo it. Big problem with DC films is they over CGI that finale, so all the goodwill, even people that love Wonder Woman, a lot of people say Wonder Woman's the best DCEU film in this series. Nobody can complain about nobody can say anything great about that finale with her and Ares, where it's just overly complicated CG. This film is the one for me that almost doesn't have any CG near the end. Like it's really small, case work. There's a few moments where it gets to be that superhero-y kind of film, but mostly it sticks to this gritty action piece thing, where they really take a lot of advantage on the violence that you can achieve with the R rating.
That's the other thing, is the R rating, and I think after watching this movie, I think it's more tailored to teenagers. Preteen kids said they were going to enjoy this more than the adults will, and think it's fine, find it more hilarious. And in fact, it's edited kind of more for kids. It's almost like a YouTube video, more of a stage, like a mixture of animation and introduction of characters and emojis and stuff like that. So it's marketed that way. But with the rated R, now you're having a hiccup of who can see this. Parents are going to decide, no, I don't want you to see that.
But see, I think the success of the Deadpool film franchise allows for that, because you get someone like, I don't think a lot of people, that maybe the problem is that nobody knew that it was R-rated. I don't think it was marketed as an R-rated film when you should have done that. But I think kids can go walk in anything these days. They get into this kind of a film. I saw a lot of kids, maybe too young for even a PG-13 take on this character in the theater. But there was a lot of teenagers that I think were like really responding to the frenetic violence. I grew up with R-rated movies, so I had to sneak in. Nowadays, I don't think they have to do it as often. I think they can just get into the movie theaters. For the take on it, this is a more violent film. This is kind of like the violence in this film I thought was where Joker was going to go at times. Yeah. There is some excessive violence that is really kind of like unnerving. It plays to some of the villainous strengths of some of the characters. but I enjoyed the attempt for the R rating.
No, Margot Robbie does some fabulous stunts in this, in their character. Then you never know where she gets this. It's just like, I don't understand why we have to. It's the constant like slow motion stuff that we've seen before that it gets kind of where we just do it, bam, bam, bam. But like I said, the fight sequences are good, the car chases are good. They definitely know how about that. I just think the characters were not developed enough to make it.
Yeah, I think it's almost an inverse problem with Suicide Squad, because Suicide Squad, I felt like the entire squad, I love the characters, I just didn't care about the mission.
The story, you
didn't
care about the story.
It's like you took a bunch of great ingredients and made a bad souffle. This is like a souffle that feels better, tastes better, with some ingredients that were less well cooked, I guess.
Yeah. You took the script out of the oven too early.
There you go. There you go. That's good. What are your thoughts on Black Canary in the film, Journey Smollett-Bell?
This is a problem because when you have a superhero talent and you want to see that talent and you only show it a few times or in less than once, then that gets into the logistics. Why don't you only show it once? You could have done it many times. There's opportunities where you could have used that in the story. She sees the person get away and she's watching the car move away. She could have done her talent and then the story can go somewhere else. So I like this character, but the use of the character gets.
I like the portrayal. I like the actress and everything. Visual look of the character is very, very interesting and new and different. It's the writing of how they handle it, and the writing of how they handle it is really kind of what got me. Because I turned to my wife afterwards because I knew a bit more about Black Canary's background in the comic
I think a lot of people
and the way that we've seen it. And I was like, I was surprised when they choose so rarely to utilize his power. And she told me she felt like something was coming because of the sequence where she sings and she breaks glass with her voice. But there are people in real life that can break glass.
That's what I'm saying.
And I think it's just underdone with that, where when it happens, it takes you out because it's the only real superpower moment in the film. Everything else you could see happening to an extent in like a John Wick overhyped violence kind of a thing. This is the part that I really liked how they used it. I wanted to see it built up or hinted at more. Even if you only use it once, give me that hint. Give me that driving force. So when it happens, it's like this release of like, yes, this took place and it was a great moment. Yeah. It just surprises me because I kind of assumed that we were going with a more grounded take on the character just because we hadn't seen it. Right. Yeah. But I like the portrayal of the character though.
And then there's a certain thing where Harley uses drugs and it makes her a better fighter, but that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, does that make that?
That's definitely that broken, unreliable narrator sense.
Yeah.
That is successful to some, unsuccessful to others. I liked the unreliable narrator that she was for the film. I would have liked more of it because I don't think it's always apparent that she's unreliable. Talking about playing it up the girl power-ness of the movie, if you will. Yeah. I thought that worked really well. I thought the tone they struck with like our female leads working together, it didn't feel forced like I thought it would. And I like that they have a villain that plays the opposite side where he's not a hungry man doing hungry man things to women. He's just kind of a jerk. He's kind of an evil, narcissistic, bad guy. I really like Black Mask in the film. I liked Ewan McGregor's portrayal of him. We talked about Ewan and his work with Dr. Sleep on last season's episode, which you guys should check out. I think he's just finding ways to like utilize his acting talents in really unique strategies. I think Black Mask is a great villain for the film, though.
It was a great villain, a great pick, but it's just I would see a little more nastiness from him because there's a point where he gets talked out of not killing somebody. And it's just like there's a point where he finally at the end. And we'll talk about that later. I don't want to ruin it.
It's kind of like with the verisimilitude of it.
The bad guy rather talks than,
Yeah, that's true.
We do the action.
We get flashbacks with him that show him at his most violent. There's some truly disturbing things he does. Yeah. They're featured earlier on in the film, and I thought they might come back later on. So I get that. Yeah.
Good picks. Definitely. I like that these are all characters from the Batman Gotham City that don't get a lot of play, and they got to shine the light. I just wish we could just do it a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all
fair.
I ask. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think if Huntress is a character that I think needs to have her own movie and will be fabulous. If you even Google what she's in comic books, it's mighty impressive. And this looks like she's a supportive. This is actually looks like she's being suppressed. She needs to come out.
I agree with you actually on this. I do, because I feel like it's a very large collection of elements that we want to see as fans.
Yes.
That are jammed into a film that I would almost say is maybe too short for it. It's an hour 49 minutes. I think it's the shortest film in this world so far. There's so many great elements I wanted to see further developed, like the hyena. When I saw that Harley was going to get a hyena in the film, I was very excited.
It was
but
kind of funny because you know about that.
Get as much time. And there's a large section of the film where Bruce disappears, and it's like,
Bruce,
you know, I really like that whole part there. And so I think, with Huntress not being as well utilized, the hyena not being as large into it, I would have liked to have seen more time with her and the Joker to accentuate why she's so broken when she's dumped. She's dumped at the beginning of the film. Yeah. And coming off of Suicide Squad, we got 8 minutes of it.
And I would love that if this, I don't want to ruin it, but I would like to have her be the initiator of it.
Okay.
Say, I'm done with the Joker. I want to be on my own. It starts instead of just wowing.
Having an end for her. I just think the film would have been stronger if we had gotten more time with the two of them as a couple, so that the breakup that initiates the start of the film feels stronger.
I agree.
But so again, everything kind of feels like it works, but doesn't really work for me. I still enjoyed it though. I still had fun watching the movie.
No, it's definitely a popcorn flick and have fun with it. But if you investigate it a little more, you might get frustrated with it.
Yeah, there's plot holes.
Yeah,
peppered. All right, so that's our thoughts on the film. Real quick, recommend, not recommend. Nick, what's your thought?
Mild recommendation. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm still going to recommend the film. I still think there is an audience for it. I would like to see it again. There's a lot of stuff going on in the film that I would like to see if I can kind of catch the second time through. Definitely, filled with references. So real quick before we end the episode, let's talk our ranking of the DCEU so far. We're 8 films in.
Yeah, 8.
Where does this film end up? Do you want to go first?
With my rankings in the 8 movies, I'm going to just go from top to bottom. And then number 1 definitely for me is still Man of Steel, even though it's a flawed movie. These are all just flawed movies. Mm-hmm. But Man of Steel, I like it. Of course, the third act doesn't get me. I'm going to go second with Shazam. I really think that Shazam's a tight-knit, fantastic movie. Definitely an overbearing kind of video game. It's kind of like an ending to it. Third is Wonder Woman. Again, it doesn't have it. The ending does get to be as well. Aquaman. I like Aquaman. It has its moments, but after that, Justice League, Batman versus Superman, and then I'll put Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad.
Okay. Well, starting with the top of mine, I had Shazam very high. Number 1 for me. Shazam, I think, is as close to a perfect, thing as this franchise has gotten so far.
Right, very much a clean, just tight.
I think that one's one where all of the good outweighs what minimal bad I had in the film.
Right. Yeah.
Number 2, Wonder Woman. Again, I think overall Wonder Woman is a interesting, unique turn for the franchise. Takes it out a little bit. Ending does fall a little bit flat. Aquaman is number 3 for me. I think James Wan's directing style of focusing on the cheese of the character makes it accessible to get into. It's very silly, it's very dumb, but it's very entertaining for me.
I agree. That's very silly,
Number 4, I would actually put Birds of Prey. I do think the good in the film outweighs the bad for me. Then number 5, BVS. I think if you watch especially the extended cut of the film, I do think that there's good in the film. It's just a little bit bloated down by some of the really bad things I don't like. I really don't like Lex Luthor.
Well, if you watch BVS, he really wanted to do a Batman movie. Yes. And then everything else is signed. I mean, they really took care of making sure Batman looks good in the movie, and everybody else is kind of...
Exactly. Yeah. Number 6 would be Justice League. Again, I think, there is a good movie in there. I just don't know where it is. It's in there. And then number 7 for me, Suicide Squad. Number 8, Man of Steel. I'm not a big Man of Steel fan. I'm not too big on it for me. I think everything is up after Man of Steel. So we are going to differ on that one.
Literally everything is up after Man of Steel.
Perfect, yeah. All right, guys, so that's our thoughts.
Before we I got one spoiler, so if you don't want to hear about it. But
spoilers.
But Birds of Prey is the second movie Ian McGregor has a female rival that goes grocery shopping.
True. True. And in Dr. Sleep, he mentions false faces, whereas his character now has a false face when he wears a mask the whole movie. So,
is that weird? I know. All right.
He's got an archetype.
Okay.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. Let us know what you thought about the film. Again, it just came out this past weekend, so might be pretty fresh in your mind. So give us your thoughts below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested as well, join
Appreciate
the Patreon. We've got that information available down in the information section of this.
Tell us what you want.
Yeah, definitely. If you can't submit for the Patreon, help us out by just sharing the video. It's an easy, free thing to do, and you'll help support the channel. Again, that's our episode, guys. Again, you can find all my reviews on goatfilmreviews.com. You can follow me on social media at AlmightyGoatMan. Nick, where can we find you?
You can find me on the St. Paul Filmcast, interviewing filmmakers from the local Twin Cities area.
All right, thanks for joining us, guys.